When Lil Meech threw a gun on his friend 3 Luck during a traffic stop, 50 Cent made sure that everyone saw it. Big Meech was indignant at the occurrence. The viral video is undoubtedly something you have seen if you have lately been online or on the street. Lil Meech nonchalantly drops a gun and possibly some drugs onto his right-hand guy, 3 Luck, as captured on body cam footage. 3 Luck is not your average person. He served 10 years in prison and remained devoted after his release, making him a reliable street figure. 3 remained by Meech's side even after he was called a snitch when he was caught declaring, "That's not my bag," at the airport. By October 24th of last year, things had taken a drastic turn. 3 Luck and Lil Meech were going around as usual, with 3 unconscious in the passenger seat and Meech behind the wheel. They were unaware that Meech was already being observed by the police. There was an investigation going on about him. They sprang in as soon as they ran the plates and identified the driver. In addition to shifting in his seat, Meech began shifting the blame when the flashing lights came on. He gave his illicit possessions, guns, possibly drugs, to a 3 Luck who was sleeping. 3 Luck received the full charge after waking up to a lap full of illegal items by the time the police arrived at the vehicle. Suppose you were him, drowsy, naive, and suddenly on federal time. The police separated them and started searching. Initially, they discovered simply the firearms. And since firearms regulations are less stringent in Florida than in other states, it isn't the worst charge. However, things took a turn for the worst when Meech began to talk too much. He informed police about the drugs, including the location of their presence. It wasn't even anything the police were searching for until Meech himself pointed it out. Following that, officers turned around and conducted a second search. As it turned out, they discovered precisely what Meech had discarded on 3 Luck. Now that the case had turned federal due to the combination of drugs and firearms, 3 Luck was imprisoned. The most unpleasant aspect. Even what Meech had told the police was unknown to him. When he woke up, all he knew was that Meech was searching for a legitimate suspect. 3 attempted to keep it down though. Meech had merely panicked, he thought. He spent all he had on legal bills, hoping for some devotion in exchange. Lil Meech, however, failed to deliver not a single dollar. Not from him or the BMF group. Not a thing. And just when it looked like there might be a chance, Meech reached out to 3, apologizing. He stated he would break him off for taking the blame once the next season of BMF aired and he was compensated, and he pledged to make things right. 3 Luck waited calmly, trusting that Meech would keep his promise. The show was later cancelled though. Not a new season. Not a paycheck. Just quiet. At that point, 3 Luck finally lost it. He threw everything over Instagram. He shared voice messages, screenshots, and angry captions. "A fake dude like Lil Meech lined me up, which is why I'm doing fat time," he stated. He called Big Meech out for having raised a disloyal child and even treated him disrespectfully. He lost years with his child and his career, according to 3. For someone who was more interested in medicines and celebrity, those who remained silent rather than defend him were also called out by him. He could see that loyalty had been supplanted by clout. Meech never actually intended to assist him. According to 3 Luck, who concluded his tirade, he was no longer free. Meech's attempt to promote the BMF image was also met with disdain. Naturally, 50 Cent added fuel to the fire. To ensure that everyone saw what happened, he took to Instagram and shared the video along with his own commentary. It was an explosion rather than just a petty remark. The mayhem continued after that. Immediately, allegations of betrayal, snitching, and Meech assisting law enforcement began to circulate online. The first thing 50 did was smooth yet understated. After congratulating Michael Rainey JRB on his accomplishment, he reposted a photo of him from Power Book 2 and made fun of Meech in the comments. "Observe what occurs when you decide not to spend your money on Chrome Hearts jeans." He then gave it his all. Body cam footage, 3 Luck quotes, and even a recording of Meech saying he was sorry and would reimburse him were all posted on his Instagram account. Meech's street credibility was called into question by the intense exposure. This was a deliberate digital attack, not merely a case of shade. 50 Cent went all troll and called Lil Meech a private school student posing as a thug. The caption that went viral on the internet said, "How are you going to throw your drugs and strap on your man's lap while he's sleeping like, here, this is your stuff, lol?" That's the classic 50. It was more than just a joke though. He has perfected this tactic. Memes and trolls have been used by the 50s for more than 10 years as tools to manipulate the narrative, degrade competitors, and cause mayhem. When did Tekashi 669 snitch on everyone? He was also widely disseminated online by 50. Currently, he is using the same strategy on Lil Meech. Meech's name was linked to treachery in the 1950s by equating him with a notorious snitch and rehashing previous betrayal stories. This was a purposeful takedown, not merely a diss. Meech's street credibility is being questioned, and 50 desired supporters are laughing at him and disbelieving him. Based on the online response, he clearly achieved his goal. When 50 went one step further, however, things became serious. The next item that 50 shared didn't simply make fun of it. It caused the whole Flannery family to lose their cool. When he shared the body cam footage and began making fun of Lil Meech, fans had one question: where is Big Meech? He did not publicly reply or do interviews. However, his actions were loud enough. As the original Meech remained imprisoned, images of Big Meech and Lil Meech together began to surface. But everyone's attention was drawn to the caption, "Nothing can stop us. We are completely up." It appeared to be a supportive message at first. To those who know Big Meech's business model, however, it sounded more like a warning. This was not merely a father protecting his son. Rather, it was the leader of the BMF heritage reminding everyone that they remain a single entity. Behind the scenes, the impact of that message became more intense. Industry rumors circulated that Big Meech used mutual contacts to issue a subdued but forceful warning to 50, "Tell him to stop playing with my son, or else." That's not merely a retort. It's an example of BMF diplomacy, and it obviously had an impact. The atmosphere swiftly became chilly, according to people close to both camps. The change in energy even affected the fans. It became clear that this was more than a troll post or a clip when the tone of the 50s began to shift. 50 Cent's digital empire and BMF's actual legacy came to a standstill. What began as a moment of viral fame now seemed far more profound. Social media warfare versus street loyalty. And the stakes were about respect and legacy, not about followers. Let's avoid being stupid. This Lil Meech incident only made the beef public. It did not initiate it. The fuse has been burning for some time, but it may have been ignited by that automobile film. If you've been listening, you know that this was never merely a traffic stop or a setup. This had to do with control, who actually controls the BMF narrative. Since 50 did more than merely produce the BMF show, let's face it, he supported him with his own brand, handpicked Lil Meech to play his father, and brought BMF back to a younger audience. Everything appeared to be fine for a time. It was a popular show. Meech ended up being well known. 50 and Stars secured another victory. But tensions were rising behind the camera. Before the video of 50 and 3 Luck was ever released, there were rumors that the two were already at odds. It was also about money, not simply devotion. There were rumors that the Flannery legacy was being portrayed improperly and that there were problems with creative control. It really starts to come apart at that point. As you can see, Big Meech is more than simply a name or a fictional character. He conceived BMF from the bottom up. His life is his story, not simply something for television. He wasn't pleased when certain plots or characters didn't feel right. He reportedly disapproved of the creative direction. He disliked not being included in important choices. Above all else, he disliked seeing his name on something he didn't co-sign. The tension is suddenly exploding after building for a while. 50 Cent, on the other hand, is renowned for getting his way. Determined, brutal, and always one step ahead. Without asking, he takes off anything that doesn't fit his vision. Take a look at the number of past partners he has strained relations with. Consequently, the Lil Meech controversy seemed like the ideal pretext for 50 to break with an already failing partnership. And it went further than that. 50 began shooting at Big Meech as well as Lil Meech. He indicated that Big Meech wasn't faithful and uploaded memes with dubious captions. A potential documentary revealing everything was even alluded to in one post. Now, that's a direct threat, not just trolling. Furthermore, you can already tell that a documentary released by 50 would be unvarnished. He has already done this with Supreme and other street icons, letting everything out through raw storytelling. Therefore, if he is about to do that with BMF, it is a battle over control of the facts rather than a simple beef. What exactly are we viewing here then? This is more than just a scandal. It's a struggle for narrative dominance. Big Meech is attempting to preserve the reputation he established on the one hand. On the other hand, 50 Cent is an expert at turning news into publicity and financial gain. Lil Meech, attempting to salvage a faltering career, is caught in the middle. However, the depth of this issue is deeper. There have been times when 50 and Big Meech disagree on who should be a part of BMF's narrative. A single major problem? Big Meech's alleged connections to Rick Ross, with whom 50 has had a falling out for more than 10 years. 50 wasn't pleased about that. When he was the one making BMF popular, he felt degraded to see Big Meech still having a great time with people from opposing camps. Therefore, even though viewers were engrossed in the program, the foundation was already beginning to crack behind closed doors. After years of quiet drama and dubious transactions, everything is suddenly being made public. Even the show's cancellation rumors now have a different tone. Many are wondering if 50 simply chose to leave a partnership he no longer trusted, or if it was truly about ratings. All indications suggest the latter. The ammunition he needed to make a clean getaway came from that Lil Meech film, but it was already too late. Initially a strong alliance to spread the BMF heritage, it has now devolved into a nasty fallout that threatens to damage the very legacy they were working to protect. We must also remember that this is far from over. There is still a lot of tension between 50 and Big Meech today. 50 Seconds have even gone so far as to repeatedly call Big Meech a rat online. He even shared a picture of a rat with the words, "I think I'm Big Meech." What a crazy shot. That kind of disrespect is not tolerated. People remember it. Big Meech has been issuing grave warnings behind closed doors, but he hasn't publicly responded. As taught by the streets, he is traveling in silence and abiding by the death before dishonor ethos. Don't get me wrong though, he is not going to overlook this. He's warning 50 behind the scenes that things could get really ugly. Furthermore, pride is not the only thing at stake. Serious money and control over the BMF brand are at stake. Big Meech is reportedly collaborating with industry titans like Gary Gray to produce his own BMF movie. That is a big move on its own. It might upend everything if Meech shares his version of events. Clowning on the Stars show, Ross is already endorsing it and referring to this new version as the real BM. 50 took that seriously. Everyone applauded back at him, including young buck Ross and anyone picking a side. This has escalated into a high-stakes chess game that involves more than just stake. Moreover, nobody is folding. A simple ride in the automobile has evolved into a conflict with far-reaching effects.